Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and I will have 4 crockpot meals for y'all today, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because I will also have 4 new ones on Wednesday as well as the rest of this month. First, I'm starting off with a cheesy broccoli and chicken rice casserole. It's a mouthful. In the crock pot, you're going to start by boiling 1 pound of broccoli in 3 cups of chicken broth, just for about 3 minutes or so, just to kind of soften them up just a little bit. And then you're going to put them in your crock pot along with a can of cream of chicken soup, cream of mushroom soup, and you can use regular chicken and not canned chicken. I just had a couple of cans that I've been wanting to get rid of. I hardly ever use them because honestly my husband isn't a big fan, but you couldn't really tell a whole lot in this. But then you are going to put in 2 cups of rice, 1 cup of evaporated milk, a teaspoon of garlic salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and then you are going to put 4 ounces of sharp cheddar in this and mix it up. And when there's about 30 minutes or so left, you're going to put the rest of the cheese on top and put the lid back on and just get it to melt. You're only going to cook this for 2 hours on high. Any kind of rice and cheesy type casserole is such comfort food for me. I don't know about y'all, but I love it. If you do too, let me know down in the comments and let me know what your favorite rice type dish, casserole, anything like that is. Oh man, it looks so good scooping out of there. That stuff was so good and so creamy. I highly recommend this recipe. I'll have it linked down below. And now I'm going to be making some beef and barley soup. I am starting by dicing up 2 celery stalks and 2 large carrots in fairly small pieces. And then you're going to dice up half an onion as well. I just already had one in the fridge that was diced up, so I toss that in at the end. And next, this was actually I think a 3-pound roast or something like that. It was a little bit bigger than I needed for the recipe, so I put some of it up for another recipe that y'all will see on Wednesday, which ended up being the perfect amount, which y'all know how a roast is like. For me, it's pretty expensive, so if I can cut that up into 2 meals, that's awesome. But this one was pretty fatty as well. I tried to take some of the pieces out, but you'll see at the end it made for a really fatty and flavorful soup. This was really delicious. And then you're going to put in 3 cups each of chicken broth and beef broth. I just got a little bit ahead of myself and tossed in my vegetables after the chicken broth. And then I was like, that doesn't look like enough juice. But anyway, then you're going to toss in your beef, 2/3 of a cup of pearl barley, not the quick cooking kind, 1 bay leaf. You could also toss in 8 ounces of sliced mushroom too. I just didn't have any, but it's another option. And then 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 3/4 of a teaspoon of dried thyme, and 1 teaspoon of salt, and half a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Oh, and a tablespoon of tomato paste. And then you are going to just stir it up a little bit and cook it for on low for 8 hours. And I don't know if it was the cut of meat or just how long it cooked and all that good stuff, but the meat in this was so good. It just pretty much melted in your mouth. Next time I made a note that I want to put the whole roast in there. Like, this thing needed more meat just because that was my favorite part, but it turned out really, really good. As you can see, all the fat juices on top. It was delicious. And if you'd like yours a little bit thicker, which I kind of do too, of course everybody knows to put crackers in soup, but I put some saltines in there and it was really. Next, I'm going to be making some Mexican beans and rice. You're going to start with 1.5 cups of rice. I actually doubled this recipe, so I was confusing myself for a second. And it called for 1.5 cups of water, but I had like 2 cartons in the fridge, one of beef broth and one of chicken broth. There's ones I needed to use up, and I think I ended up getting like 2 cups out of that, then 1 cup of water. I figured it would add a little bit extra flavor. Then I just kind of broke up the rice a little bit, and then you're going to put in 3/4 cup of either salsa or picante sauce, 1 bay leaf, 1 teaspoon of, well, 2 teaspoons, I'm sorry, of cumin. I keep forgetting that I have doubled this one. So it was 2 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, and then 2 cans of black beans rinsed. Then you're going to give it a good stir, and you're going to cover it and cook it on low for 3 hours. It actually didn't call for cheese. I ended up maybe about 30 minutes before it was done, stirred a little bit in with it as well, and then topped it with cheese. And also you're going to put 1 or 2 tablespoons of fresh lime juice in the rice as well, if you do that while you're putting in the cheese. And I think the cheese, of course, made this. It would have been good without it. Like, this could be perfect for like a side for taco night as well. And you could do just like, I'll put down below what the original recipe was. This was more of like a meal. And lastly, I'm going to be making a black bean soup that was so good. The flavor in this was awesome. Okay, you're going to start with 3.5 cups of water, 8 ounces of dried black beans, not soaked. You're going to put in 1 bay leaf, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And it called for ham hocks. My grocery store, I guess, was out, and they substituted it for pigtail, which completely freaked me out, honestly, for a minute, but it gave it such a good smoky flavor. And then whenever it was done, we took it out and got what little bit of meat on there is, well, whatever little bit of meat that the pigtail has, and put it back in. And don't forget to take out your bay leaf as well. And then you're gonna put in the juice of 1 lime and 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce and stir it up. And this was so good. I was pretty impressed with it. I wasn't sure how that was going to turn out, but the flavor and the smokiness from the smoked pigtail really added a ton of flavor to this. It was even better than I thought it would be, honestly. I don't know if I've ever had black bean soup, but I'm trying to try some new things. But anyway, Wednesday I will have 4 additional Crockpot recipes for you, and then more next Sunday. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.